Public sector workers in New South Wales are planning what they say will be the biggest mass demonstration in 2 decades in Sydney today. Up to 20,000 people are expected to gather in central Sydney later this morning before marching on State Parliament. Protesters include teachers, police, firefighters, nurses and bus drivers. They're angry about job cuts announced in Tuesday's state budget. Well, the New South Wales Secretary for the Firefighters Union, Jim Casey, joins me now in the studio. Jim Casey, many thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Jo.
The public sector job cuts were always on the agenda for the O'Farrell government. What do you think this day of action is going to achieve today?
I think today is going to be round two, really, of what's going to be a long fight with the O'Farrell government. The issue for us is actually, it's more structural. What the O'Farrell government's done with their industrial relations laws for firefighters is give us an impossible choice.
How so?
The public sector wages policy sets wages below inflation. In order to get your wages to match inflation, you need to find employee-related cost offsets. What this means is the productivity is a thing of the past. It doesn't matter how much harder we work, how much smarter we work, what new technology we take on, what new duties we take on. The only thing this government's interested in is lowering the wages bill overall, and that means jobs. So we're faced with an impossible choice. Our wages go backwards or we sell off positions. Neither is acceptable to us. We're not well paid. We've got mortgages and bills like everyone else. Our wages can't go back. But if we lose positions, the community will suffer and firefighters will suffer. Less people on the road in fire engines means we get to fires later, they're more dangerous, more people get hurt and we get hurt.
This is obviously, though, quite a philosophical issue, if you like, for the government. Can you see the O'Farrell government changing its mindset, its direction on wages policy?
No, which is why we're actually taking strike action today. I don't think they're going to change their mind easily on this, but I anticipate, and this, as I said, it'll be a long fight, I anticipate that they'll have to change their mind on this. There's 400,000 public sector workers in this state, and we all work very, very hard to make sure this state runs. Be it putting out your fires, looking after you in hospitals, schools and so forth. It's a huge group of people and we're not very happy about the way we're being treated. All we're asking for is a fair go, and I think we're going to actually win this fight.
How do the public sector workers in New South Wales, how does the wages policy differ from that of other states? Is there any model there that you'd prefer?
In terms of the way our states operate, there's no particular model we see as a inspiration, I guess. What O'Farrell's done is actually break the mould in terms of actually turning his back on the concept of productivity as a basis for negotiating pay rises. That model still exists in other states. So at that philosophical level, yeah, there's something we can look at elsewhere. The main concern really, though, is it's a total game changer. If we work harder, we don't get compensated. That's unacceptable for us. We want to work harder, we want to work more effectively, but we expect to be remunerated for it. We don't expect to see our wage go backwards. Now,
the government has indicated that there are more tough times ahead. Does this mean there's going to be more actions from unions like yours?
Undoubtedly. As I said, this is round two of what's going to be a long, drawn-out prize fight.
And what's at stake for the public?
In terms of firefighting, it's your standard of fire protection. Look, fire behaviour, it's an exponential curve. You get to a house fire at 5 minutes, it's going to be far less dangerous for both the occupants and the firefighters than getting there at 10 minutes. You take firefighters off the road, we'll be getting there at 10 minutes, or 15, or 20. When you want to say what's at stake for the community, it's your safety and our safety.
Now, there's estimates of 20,000 people turning up on the streets today. Is that an accurate number, first of all, in terms of an estimate? And if you get that kind of turnout, what kind of message is that going to put?
Well, you'd have to actually ask the government how they receive that message. But certainly, look, we had 10,000 people at the first action, and that was called at brief notice. I'm expecting 20,000 plus today. What happens after that will depend on how the government responds and how well we organise as well, and how well we carry our argument into the broader community. The government's doing a nice job in spinning this as about lazy public servants and backroom operators and so forth. And, they would say that. The message I'd like to get out there is that we are just the people who drive your fire engines, drive your ambulances, teach your children, look after you when you're old, look after you when you're sick. That's all we are, and all we're asking for is a fair go, and this government will give us that.
Jim Casey from the New South Wales Firefighters Union, we appreciate you coming in today. Thank you
for having me.